Yo guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another episode of the Leeds United Career Mode. This is episode number 2, coming on the back of the series opener where we began our rebuild at Ellen Road with Leeds now dropping down to the Championship. A very decent start to the season, winning 5 of our first 6 games in the Championship, only the 1 loss so far away at the Rico against Coventry City, not the Rico anymore of course, the Coventry City Building Society Stadium, Coventry Building Society Stadium, something like that. You know, there are certain stadium names, so like there'll always be that stadium name regardless of sponsorship changes or anything. Like Swansea's the Liberty. I know it's not called the Liberty anymore, but it's still the Liberty. Do you know what I mean? It's just certain stadium names, man. You can't seem to change them. They'll always be associated with one during that time period. But yeah, a decent start to the season with Leeds, and I'm liking how the team is looking as well. You know, I said in the summer window I want to make this team look really realistic with the rebuild Leeds are set to undertake heading into the Championship for next season. And so far so good, I would say. You know, we sold the star players who are very likely to leave: Tyler Adams, Sinisterra, Gnonto, so on and so forth, Jack Harrison as well. Yes, a couple of which have stayed in the likes of Voba and Brendan Aronson, who would score our first goal here away in South Wales against Cardiff, as we found our leveller through the American. But I think the team's looking quite realistic here. You know, I've added to it with some fringe Premier League players like Brandon Williams and Mason Holgate, brought in a really good young talent in Matt O'Reilly, a couple of dressing room leaders in Ashley Young and Phil Jones, who are going to be released by their clubs in the summer. So yeah, I'm quite liking how the team's looking right now. You know, quite realistic, I would say, and decent start on the pitch as well, with 5 wins in 6. Question was, could we start season off by making it 6 wins in 7? And the answer was yes. Brendan Aronson bagged his first 2 goals of the season in his first start as well. Like, I wasn't against selling Brendan Aronson in the summer. Like I mentioned, he does have a relegation release clause with Leeds. It is quite likely he's going to go, possibly to the Bundesliga, but I would like to see him stay. You know, I really do. He's such a young player coming in under Jesse Marsh, obviously worked with him before. I'd like to see him stay because, you know, Aronson clearly does have technical quality, but the problem he's got is that physically he's just not strong enough. You know, he's really weak, let's be honest. I think in the last episode I said he's got the strength of a rake. You know, he needs to bulk up, he needs to beef up, there's no doubt about it. And I think in the Championship, you know, such a physically strong league, just like the Premier League as well, I'd like to see him, you know, try and stay with Leeds and in the rebuild era and get them back to the Premier League. I guess we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, he scored our 2 goals in the win against Cardiff, and then in the previous game, we got another 1-0 victory there, and another clean sheet as well, and the first one from Marek Rodak after we signed him on deadline day as well, Matt O'Reilly, with his first goal of the season. So, following game, Sunderland away, Black Cat, taking this one to Stadium of Light here. Sunderland, of course, what a season they had last year, you know, going up from League One the previous year, and then going all the way to the playoffs. That was a fantastic achievement from Sunderland. They, of course, did come up short in the playoffs to the eventual winners of the playoffs, Luton Town. But taking them on away, the Mackhams at the Stadium of Light, Matt O'Reilly, 2 goals in 2 games therefore. O'Reilly, so happy to have him as part of my team in this box-to-box role, because he's got all the assets to become an amazing box-to-box. And then 14 minutes after the restart, trying to double our lead here. Dan James and Christensen, our right side pairing, playing a 1-2, then played across the centre, and Patrick Bamford could not miss from 2 yards out. So I said in the last episode, you know, with Leeds United, they are going to go for a massive rebuild in the summer, and whilst they are going to lose goals in Willie Gnonto and probably Rodrigo as well, I don't think they need to worry about scoring goals in the Championship. I still think they'll get an awful lot of them, even in the absence of a couple of their star players that are most likely going to leave in the summer window. Patrick Bamford is an amazing Championship goal scorer. He will get you the goals, don't worry about that. Really hard working player, and that's why for this summer, even though he signed several new players for the rebuild, I didn't feel the need to sign a new striker. I didn't sign a new striker. There was no need. We've got Joe Gelhardt, who's come back from Sunderland after his loan spell. We've got Rutter on the bench. Possibly we could play Sam Greenwood up top as well. But also, of course, Patrick Bamford too. He scored our second of the 3 goals there as Dan James wraps it up in a big 3-0 win. So, yep, nice little winning run for Leeds United, dating back to our loss away against Coventry. But for the following game, coming into this midweek clash here away at Fratton Park against the League One side, Portsmouth taking on Pompey, the lads from the South Coast here. Yeah, I definitely wasn't really going to be too fussed if I lost this game. Throughout a backup side for this one, because it was the Carabao Cup 3rd round. I mentioned this in the last episode. Of course, a cup run is always nice, don't get me wrong, but my sole priority, not my primary priority, but my sole priority is getting Leeds back in the big time, getting Leeds back in the Premier League. And, you know, I often talk about this, but, like, to me, the Carabao Cup, and I know I've said this so many times, so I know a lot of you guys are going, oh, God, here we go again. The rant about why he thinks the Carabao Cup should be scrapped. I won't go into it today, but what I will say is that if you were to offer fans of Championship clubs, would you rather get to the Carabao Cup semi-finals, for example, or gain promotion to the Premier League? I guarantee that the vast majority of those fans of Championship clubs would take the Premier League promotion. If you could even say get to the Carabao Cup final, let alone the semi-finals, you know, a chance to win a major honour, I still think they'd choose promotion to the Premier League. That's just a massive disparity between reputation of competitions. To be able to play in the Premier League nowadays with the money and the exposure, or getting to a Carabao Cup final, a second-tier domestic cup final. Yeah, I mean, I say it all the time, and I'll say it again. This is why I think the competition should be scrapped. But even so, we lost the game by 2-1. Rutter, to be fair, scored a screamer for his first goal of the season, but lost it late on through Lane as Pompey pulled off the cup set and made it through to the following round. But again, I wasn't too fussed because my starters were now fit for the weekend game, as we will take on Watford as the Hornets will come to Ellen Road and take us on here. And I didn't mind going out the cup, so I could bounce back in this game and get the win. That would be more than good enough for me. It's exactly what happened. 35 minutes in, we were 2 goals up, but Stuart Dallas got, I think, his first goal of the season, making it 2-0, and 7 minutes after the restart, a chance to make it 3. Bamford's pass cut out, gets it back though, recycles to Christensen on this right-hand side and passing from right to left into the middle. Dan James, I've got to say, he might well end up being my top scorer this year. You know, I was saying earlier about how we've got, you know, Joe Gelhardt back from Sunderland, Rutter, who I think will get us a couple of goals, Sam Green will get a couple of goals as well, whilst Patrick Bamford will be my starting striker as our number 9. Dan James off to a red hot start this season. He got another one as well as Bamford and Dallas in a comfortable 3-0 victory there. This guy's unbelievable, man. Like, seriously, I mean, he's just so quick. He's so quick. It's ludicrous. But for that goal there, not using the pace, but just smacking one in with the weaker left foot. So, yeah, back to winning ways there against Watford at Ellen Road by 3-0. With the following game, really looking forward to this one. Obviously, being a Millwall fan, looking forward to this clash. Taking on the Lions away at the Den here in SE 16, heading into the game. Well, Charlie Creswell will return after what would have been his loan spell last season, and heading into the game, I put Millwall on the ropes right from the start. Wasn't going to take it easy against my team. We went 2-0 up 28 minutes in. Joe Gelhardt scored the first, and then Voba scored his second goal of the season, heading in a corner, making it 2-0. To be fair though, the Lions did roar back not long afterwards, 32 minutes in here, looking for their response and their reply, being down by 2. Zion Fleming, what a player, to Styles and a fantastic finish as well, made it 2-1. So Millwall back in the game soon after we got ourselves a 2-goal cushion, and this was just one of those games that was so fun to play. And you know, I've said this before and I'll say it again, but to me, these are the most fun games of FIFA. Not the games where you absolutely dominate, but when they're just action-packed, end-to-end, and they are so tight, and they really could go either way. Loads of chances getting created, and the scoreline could end up looking like a cricket score. It's just a fantastic game. 4 minutes after the restart, directly from kickoff, we got ourselves our 2-goal cushion back. Brendan Arrington tapping in from close range, but then, oh, this was so funny, man, right? A few minutes after I scored this goal, what on earth happened here, man? I could not wait to show you this, man. Like, seriously, I don't know what happened here. Header in on my goal. Marek Rodak, I mean, he's been alright since coming in on deadline day. A couple of clean sheets, but what on earth was this? Tips it onto the bar and then just, I don't know, just falls over. I mean, the ball just ricochets on the turf, and then, I mean, you know, he just seems to, I don't know if he loses his footing. I don't know what happens there. I mean, it should have been quite easy for him just to stand up and just, like, catch the ball. But instead, he just hit the deck. I know there was a man on the line next to him as well, but even so, that was just absolutely ridiculous there. One of those moments where you just want to throw your controller at your TV, but then you remember you don't earn much money and you can't really afford a new TV or let alone a new controller right now, so you better just hold on to the rage. So yeah, Millwall got back in the game for a ridiculous own goal, but thankfully right from kickoff we restored our 2-goal lead, working the ball in from the right hand side. Matt O'Reilly gets his 3rd goal of the season, restores our 2-goal cushion for the 3rd time in the game, and I was thinking, come on man, surely going to secure this victory here, can't throw away another goal surely. 6 minutes to go, the Lions continue to push, continue to hunt, would get themselves back in the game once again for the third time, cutting the deficit to 1. But thankfully we were 5 minutes ago. This time we held on for the 4-3 victory. Cracking game though, like so fun to play. You know, these are the games that are so fun, honestly, man. Like just really end-to-end, action-packed, so open, loads and loads of chances. And a great game to play. One of those matches where, like, even if you don't win it, you still have fun playing it, you know. Thankfully, we did hold on to the big 3 points. So, starting the season off, 10 wins in our first 11 games, 30 points from a possible 33. Norwich behind us in second place right now, as we now enter October. It's still reasonably tight though, and of course, because it's still early days, you know, we're about a quarter of the way through the season right now. It's still very early days, and the Championship is that division where, you know, if you lose like 3 on the bounce, you can go from second place automatic promotion to possibly outside the playoffs and only just in the top half. It's that division where, again, with 24 teams, there's going to be so much congestion, and that's why when teams do get out to Leeds, you got to stay consistent. You know, you look at likes like Burnley, for example, this season, how they're able to go up. It's by staying consistent and rarely going into bad patches. So, for the following game, Blackburn Rovers taking us on here at Ellen Road. Oh my goodness, second own goal in 2 games. This is one of those games where I just thought nothing is going to go my way in this game. You know those games where the FIFA gods are not smiling on you? This was it. The first goal, I thought Marek Rodak should have made the save there. Bradley Dack catching him out from long range, kind of like De Gea in yesterday's FA Cup final against Manchester City. Nothing he could have done against the first goal for Gundogan, but the second one, question marks over the Spaniard. I felt a little bit sorry for him because the ball didn't come through a crowd of bodies, but I think for a goalkeeper of his class, he probably should have got more on it. But even so, the second goal, just a really unfortunate own goal. Young Archie Gray making a stand tackle on Bradley Dack, and in the end it went past Rodak for the second goal. And Bradley Dack, I mean, he just caused me so many problems in this first half. I could not stop him. He scored Blackburn's third goal after I got back in the game through Patrick Bamford, and whilst going forward I looked really good defensively. I was just too fragile. We got another goal through Bamford with 2 minutes to go, but sadly, just like the Lions were in the last game, just could not find that third goal and final leveller. So final score 3-2, and it's our first loss at Ellen Road this season. Bradley Dack with a brace, and an unfortunate own goal for the kid Archie Gray as well. So, first loss at Ellen Road, coming against Blackburn, and that is why I mentioned it when I showed the league table to end September. Yeah, 10 wins from 11, and you might think, oh, here we go, you're going to dominate here, you're going to absolutely walk this league. Well, clearly not. No, it's such a competitive league, and all it really takes is, you know, 2 or 3 losses on the bounce, I mentioned a moment ago there, and suddenly your position as a playoff team, for example, is all but gone, and you're now sitting in 10th or 11th place, you know. But of course, conversely, on the other hand, if you know, say you're in a mid-table place and then you win 5 on a bounce, you can quickly go to being a playoff place just like that. So yeah, for the following game, it's all about bouncing back here if we want to stay in the top 2. Taking on Middlesbrough, second game at Ellen Road, aiming to bounce back here against Michael Carrick's side last year, of course, getting to the playoff semi-finals, and fell behind through Chuba Akpom, making it 1-0 to Borough, having the lead. But that man Patrick Bamford would find our level. Should show respect there, totally forgot, but even so, still 1-1, back on level terms there. Bamford with a goal, and then at 12 minutes after the restart, oh yeah, Somerville put Zach Steffen on the floor and pops it into the open goal from close range. So it came from behind to win this one here by 2-1, and Lord knows we needed that. You know, I say this all the time, this saying, consistency is key. If there's ever a division where that statement rings true, it is the Championship. Oftentimes, the teams that go up are the most consistent. I know it sounds kind of obvious, but when there's 46 games to play, you have to be consistent because the teams around you will capitalise if you're not. So, back to winning ways there. The question was, could we respond in the following game? Now travelling away from home to London, taking on QPR away at the Kiyan Prince Foundation Stadium here, taking on Queen's Park Rangers here, and once again, fell behind. So recently struggling a lot defensively, and I know I was going to get goals going forward, defensively really struggling at the moment. Thankfully, we were very close to losing our second game in 3 here with 17 minutes to go. Dan James, whilst he wasn't fully fit, still needed him to start in this game as my star guy this season. Goes through 1-on-1 and smacks it into the far corner and cancels out Jamal Lowe's opener 11 minutes after the restart. So 1-1 there, away against Cooper, and I was thinking, okay, here we go. Now we're slowing down a little bit. Red hot start to the season, 10 wins in 11, but now just the 1 win in our last 3 games, and just 4 points picked up from a possible 9. That is not going to be good enough if we are to go up automatically. So for the following game, away from home, West Bromwich Albion, the Baggies at the Hawthorns, I thought I've got to tie it up defensively. No clean sheets in our last few games, really struggling struggling at the back. Got to tie up defensively, get a clean sheet, and also win this one. And we would do both of those things. Yeah, clean sheet from Rodak first in a few games, and Patrick Bamford tapping in from 2 yards gave me a 1-0 victory. So, back on track there. The question is, could we return to consistent good form? Well, following game, taking on Rotherham United here, and against the Millers, who, as we know, another Yorkshire team, so a nice little Yorkshire derby here against Leeds. Well, heading into this game, I was thinking, all right, back-to-back clean sheets, boys. Let's keep it tight defensively and get another one. I don't know what on earth I was doing here. I really don't. You know, I like to play on the counter and quickly get the ball up from defence to attack. Trying to dribble out of Marek Rodak. Answers on a postcard. What was I doing? I have absolutely no idea. And you know me, I say it all the time. I don't try and sweep anything under the rug. If I made a really bad mistake, I'll show you it in full. There's literally no defending that, like absolutely no defending that. It was just absolutely stupid there. So the Millers in front at the New York Stadium, Jordan Hugill getting the goal. We would bounce back right before the break. Matt O'Reilly with the goal, finding our leveller and the equaliser scored by the former Celtic MK Dons and Fulham man. That's his 4th of the season as well. That's 4 in 16 now, I think, from Matt O'Reilly. That's averaging 1 in every 4. That is exactly the sort of return I wanted from him this year as my box to box. So back on all terms right before the break. Question was, could we strike her out after the restart right before the first half as well? First half whistle, I should say. That's exactly what we did. That's the perfect way to end and begin a half. From being a goal down to now 2-1 up. First Matt O'Reilly and then Stuart Dallas, the hard-working, experienced midfielder. That makes it 2-1. We are in front for the first time in the game, coming from behind, and then in stoppage time, aiming to close the game out. Oh man, I am loving this guy so much, man. Seriously, like Patrick Bamford, I think probably will be my top scorer this year. But Dan James, man, I mean, seriously, this guy is just like a cheat code. When he gets going, you ain't going to stop him. It's absolutely ridiculous, man. His pace is just unbelievable. Good movement as well to get himself through the gap there, go through one-on-one and wrap the game up. 3 on the final score, and for the first time in a few games, back-to-back wins. Unfortunately, though, as you can see, because of a poor run recently with 1 win in 3, we have now dropped down to 2nd. Norwich, top of the table, and ahead of us on goal difference right now. But the crucial thing is that both of us are 8 points clear of 3rd place. Now, of course, in the Championship, the top 2 teams go up automatically, and then the following 4 teams will compete in the playoffs. I have said this before, I've gone on record as saying this, and I know not everyone agrees with me. Bang! Pick that one out. 8 minutes here into the following game, taking on Swansea City. Oh my goodness, Patrick Bamford with a rocket, contending for goal of the season so far. That was class there from our number 9. I've gone on record as saying this, and I know not everyone agrees with me, and that's totally fine, but I've said this before, whether you go up automatically top or in 2nd place, ultimately, it's not really a big deal either way. You know, ultimately, he's still getting the grand prize, and that is the Premier League football. So, of course, we want to win the Challenger this year, no doubt about it. But if we go up as runners-up, that'll do me just fine as well. So, following game, aiming to make it 3 wins in 3 and get a return to clean sheets as well, and we get just that. Patrick Bamford contended for goal of the season. Matt O'Reilly almost matched it soon afterwards as well, hitting the crossbar, but thankfully would hold on to the 1-0 victory there. The only negative was our first injury of the season. Ashley Young, the experienced old pro, coming in from Aston Villa, going down with a broken toe. We won't see him again for another 3 months. Bit of a shame as well. I've converted him to CDM, and I was liking him at CDM as well as a good passer of the ball, but sadly now we won't see him again until around January time. So following game, can we keep the winning run going and make it 4 on the trot and possibly leapfrog the Canaries? Following game away, taking on the Owls, Sheffield Wednesday at Hillsborough, winning the League One playoff final last season, of course. Josh Windass, son of Dean Windass, scored the winner in that game, heading in from close range in stoppage time and extra time. He gave the Owls the lead. They were leading at Hillsborough. Darren Moore's side in front with 2 minutes to go. He's done it again. Dan James is just ridiculous, man. Like, seriously, if you've not used Dan James this year, guys, he is literally the ultimate budget speedster. He won't cost you much money, but he's just unbelievable. He's just so quick. He fires in our leveller, and in his stoppage time, in the 5th minute of added time, wouldn't you just know it? Final kick of the game, how often do you see it, ends up being a winner. Matt O'Reilly completes the turnaround and Leeds win it by 2 goals to 1. And this is why, I talk about this a lot as well, but this is why you should just never give up in a FIFA game. I know it can be very easy to get disheartened when there's 5 minutes to go and you're down by a goal or 2, but I mean, we scored 2 goals in 4 in-game minutes to go and win from what was a trailing position. late goals in FIFA are so common. I don't know whether there's something coded into the game that makes them more likely, but they do happen so often. So, like, seriously, I say this to you all the time. I know it sounds a bit of a cliche, but don't give up, man. Like, seriously, if you are trailing, if you are down, if you need a winner or a leveller and you're down by a goal or two, don't throw in the towel. Keep going to the final whistle, because stoppage time goes on forever nowadays. That was the 5th or possibly even 6th minute of stoppage time when Matt O'Reilly turned in from close range to make it 2-1. So came from behind to win it there later on against Sheffield Wednesday at Hillsborough. And then for the following game, meeting at the top 2 here, taking on Norwich, and a chance to go top of the table if we would beat the Canaries in our backyard, and we would as well. Dan James, we get another one, and Patrick Bamford getting our second with 12 minutes to go. Listen, I don't know who's going to be top scorer this year, but I'll tell you what, it's going to be one of those two. Like, I don't know if one of those two will win the Golden Boot, because William Carvalho right now, you'll see at the end of today's episode, is dominating for Leeds United in terms of getting the goals right now in the Championship, but my top scorer this year will either be Dan James or Patrick Bamford, and right now they are neck and neck. They scored our 2 goals there in a 2-0 win against Norwich. The winning run now extended to 5 on the trot, and for our following game, Hull City away at the K-Com, taking on the Tigers. Again, consistency being key. Really wanted to keep our streak going. Perfect start. This guy right now is really coming into his own. Start the season off, I didn't score a goal with him until around 8 games in. Now he's got, I think, 6 goals for Leeds United. He has been phenomenal for me this year in this little run. So, yeah, Matt O'Reilly with the goal makes it 1-0, and we have the advantage. And then 40 minutes in, oh, shocking goal to concede. But one of those strikes where you just like, was that in slow motion? Yeah, Ryan Woods catches Marek Rodak out here. I've got to say, I'm tempted to put Joel Robles back in goal, put the experienced lad in goal, because he's struggling. He's struggling at the moment, Marek Rodak. Not making too many saves for me there, as he was beaten by Ryan Woods from range. So it's 1-1. Hull City are back on level terms, but 75 minutes in. Oh yeah, I said anything you can do, I can do better, Hull. Yeah, a little bit of a scramble there. Stuart Dallas takes over, and you got to see us on the replay, man. This is composure personified. Little ricochet after Somerville tries to step inside and go for goal. Deflection comes to Dallas, wearing the armband in most of my games this season, and this is composure, man. Going for a crowd of bodies here, goalkeeper getting back to his line, chips it over him and finds the open goal. That was class there from Dallas, and what would eventually be a 2-1 victory. So Leeds finally back to consistent form after a little mini shaky run of form, and now we've gone 8 points clear of Norwich in second and 11 clear of Leicester in third. There's beginning to be a little bit of separation now between the top 3 teams, but like I said before, the Championship is just so competitive, and that is why you have to remain consistent. Because yeah, right now you look at the table, think 8 points clear, Doxy boy, time to pull away, but all it takes is 2 or 3 losses on the bounce, and suddenly that 8-point lead can be completely wiped out by the chasing pack. So for the following game, home park, Plymouth Argyle, newly promoted side from League One. Well, here we go. Lost the game by a 0-0, fell behind late on and could not find a level in a 1-0 defeat. The lads from Devon getting a big win there in their pursuit of survival in the Championship this season at home park. 1-0 victory, and there we go. So, lost away from home, and could we now bounce back? Following game, taking on Southampton, fellow recently relegated side, first team going down from the Premier League last year and finishing bottom of the table, taking on the Saints. Well, starting the game off, struggled to get out of the blocks in this one here. Rodak making a good save early, but also Joe Gelhardt going down and getting an injury as well. And, well, I say this all the time, and I've played this game so long now, I can normally tell how bad an injury is going to be by the animation alone. I knew that was going to be an ACL, and spoilers, it was indeed. So that's Joe Gelhardt done for the season there, as my backup striker is forced off early. The Saints making a really bright start to the game, testing Rodak early, and then 8 minutes into the game, struggling to do with a corner. Eventually a ricochet falls to JWP, and the Southampton captain, very likely to leave after spending all of his pro career at the Saints in the summer after the relegation, has stayed in the game and makes it 1-0. And here we go. So from being 8 points clear, we were facing the prospect, depending on results elsewhere, of having an 8-point gap cut to 2 if we couldn't bounce back. So down by a goal courtesy of the Saints skipper JWP. Brendan Aronson hit the post soon afterwards as we were still down by a goal. With 7 minutes on the clock here, facing the prospect of back-to-back losses for the first time this season. Dan James gets sent through 1-on-1. He's never going to get caught up by Saleta Sarr. Runs through 1-on-1 against the veteran Argentine goalkeeper Willy Caballero. Rounds him and pops it into the open goal. Sometimes you just need a little bit of pace. That's what you need. Dan James sent through 1-on-1 and the pace bails me out. So final score at Ellen Road 1-1. Thankfully not back-to-back losses for the first time this season, but like I said, just 1 point picked up from a possible 6 and the gap at the top being cut by the Canaries and the Foxes as well. As Joe Gelhardt there, you see the confirmation down for the rest of the season. Such a shame as well. 6 goals in 10. I said this year with my backup striker, I'll play him when Bamford needs a rest. Now he's done for the season. That's a big blow there to lose our second choice striker, as now that'll be Rutter's job as our fill-in, if you will, for Patrick Bamford. So for the following game and the final game of today's episode, Birmingham City coming to take on Ellen Road and desperately needing a bounce back here. 1 point from a possible 6, no wins in our last 2 games. Needed to respond here, needed to return to winning ways, and Patrick Bamford said, it's my time. He opens the scoring and makes it 1-0 in the first half, and then in the second half still leading by a goal here. Coming on the counter, trying to find our second goal. A lovely ball out wide here to Christensen down this flank. Stepping in from the flank, whips the ball into the middle, and who's there from close range? That man once again. You know, obviously, Dan James and Bamford, they'll be my top 2 scorers this year, I'm sure about that, but Matt O'Reilly is a dark horse in this team. He's a dark horse for the Golden Boot in this Leeds team. He gets another goal, I think it's 7th or 8th of the season to make it 2-0 as we double our lead. I thought for sure we'd see the game up from here, but 11 minutes to go, shaky little run here for Leeds United. And as Chong makes it 2-1, I was thinking, oh man, seriously, we had an 8-point gap that is going to go so quickly if we fail to win this game as well. Birmingham half deficit back in the game. And for all the criticism I've given him recently, it's safe to say I was singing his praises at full time. Yet Marek Rodak pails me out with virtually the final key of the game, denying Hogan. So, big victory there, bouncing back, but as you will see, what was an 8-point gap has now been cut to 6. Leicester have jumped into second place. Norwich are in third with 48 points. So there is a bit of separation now between the top 3, us, Leicester and Norwich, from the chasing pack, but the goal difference is still very close. Only 8 points separating those 3 teams right now at the official halfway stage of the season. Yes, we are top, but after just 1 win in our last 3 games, for sure, it is still not what you call a comfortable lead at the top of the table. William Carvalho, like I said earlier right now, is winning the race for the Golden Boot in the Championship. I never thought I'd say that sentence in my entire life, but there you go. And as for the Premier League right now, for those curious, Sheffield United, newly promoted, are in 8th place. Wolves are in 3rd. The Red Devils are top. Luton Town are unfortunately in the relegation zone with just the 7 points on the board so far. But even so, halfway through the season right now, we are top. But as you've seen today, some warning signs in the Championship. You can't take anything for granted. But that went into this episode of the Leeds United Career Mode, guys. Big thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. If you haven't, just like. Much love to you all. Have a fantastic day. And in the next episode, we will begin the second half of the season. Get through to the January transfer window as well, where I might make some more transfers as we continue to rebuild this Leeds United side very soon.